Welcome to another episode of the Meal Prep Monday podcast. I'm your host and founder of Prep Dish, Allison Schaaf. In today's episode, I am discussing 4 strategies for after-school snacking that will also help with dinner. Before we get started on today's episode, I have a message to read from Prep Dish subscriber Mary Ann. Mary Ann writes, I can't believe it's been 10 years since I joined Prep Dish. We have lived happier, healthier lives since that day. I can't imagine what our lives would be without Prep Dish, and I can't really remember our lives before it. You introduced us to a healthier lifestyle, no stress meal planning, and savings on our grocery bill. You saved us time in the kitchen from prepping all the way to cleanup. I initially joined so I could cook gluten-free for my mother who has celiac. Quickly, I learned that we all could benefit from Prep Dish too. My husband has diabetes, and his blood sugar is easier to control with the paleo meal plan, which is also heart healthy. With food prices increasing, I encourage everyone to join Prep Dish due to the savings they will see beginning on the first week of joining. Your meal plans are organized in a way that is easy to follow. You check off what you already have and only buy what you need. This makes it easy to order your groceries ahead for pickup. Your freezer meal plans are delicious, and your holiday guide is just as amazing. The Prep Dish challenges are fun. Thank you for the past 10 years. I will forever be recommending Prep Dish. Marianne, thank you so much, first of all, for being with us for 10 years and for those kind words. I love hearing it. If you're listening to this and you have not tried out our meal plans, maybe this is your sign that today's the day. Go to prepdish.com/MPM. That's short for Meal Prep Monday. We do have that 2-week free trial set up. So you get 2 weeks to try it out for free. As Marianne mentioned, a lot of times you can see that savings and it pays for itself within those first few weeks. Of course, the 2 weeks are free. So, you're not out anything for trying it for those first 2 weeks at prepdish.com/MPM. It's also linked in the show notes if you would like to give us a try. Okay, so for today's episode, I am continuing on the back to school theme and wanted to talk about snacking, specifically after school snacking. Yes, I have some practical tips, but I'm going to take a step back and think even more about, this time period, the snacks, all of that. So I've put together 4 different points that I want to hit on. So number 1 point, I want to go back to a reminder of, as parents, so this is dietitian Ellen Satter, who talks a lot about the division of responsibility and what, as parents, we are responsible for when it comes to feeding our kids. She says you decide the what, when, and where, and then the kids get to decide how much. So if you can keep this in mind with snacking, I fall back on this even with snacks. Now, I will say a lot of times I will give my kids the option on what they want for a snack, but I don't give an open-ended option of like, oh, what should we have for a snack today? They're going to, of course, they're thinking, well, maybe like some chocolate chips or some ice cream, I like to, okay, so in our household, I'll back up to, in our household, we do fruit for morning snack and bedtime snack and veggies for afternoon snack. So it's really clearly defined. Expectations are there. So there's no pushback. It's just kind of known. This is how we divide out our snacks. So anyway, but going back to Ellen Satter, yes, I am deciding what, when, and where, and then they get to decide how much. Number 2 consideration is timing. This is a little trickier, and as we enter the school year, that's why I thought, right now is a good time to talk about this, because this could change from what it was in the summer. Ideally that afternoon snack is 2 to 3 hours before dinner, especially if it's a heavier snack. So that way it's not impacting dinner. So that's kind of the first thing is with this afternoon snack, I have found one of the keys. A lot of times people are like, oh, my kid's picky, or they don't eat anything at dinner. They don't eat anything at lunch. They just kind of pick at things. What I have found is one of the keys to get your kids more interested in mealtime is to not go so heavy on the snacks and pay close attention to the timing. This is something I notice a lot when we travel. When we travel, it's kind of like, we just did this, 2 or 3 week road trip through the Pacific Northwest. It's hard to be like, okay, now snack time. Oh, cutting off snack time. Now is meal time. It's not that schedule is not there when we're in the car. It's like constant snacking. And so I notice, especially during those trips, mealtime, a lot of times, we get to the Airbnb, I make this nice healthy meal, and like the kids just aren't touching it because they've snacked all day. Now, when we're at home, it's a lot better because we do have this more defined rhythm of, what works. I am always tuning in to, does this timing work for us? I have one child's particularly sensitive to being hungry and his moods. I have noticed, and his teachers have pointed out too, he is often struggling the most before meal times. So I'm always trying to be aware of, is he getting enough to eat before that meal so that he can make it to the next one? Because his mood will start to plummet. One, if I'm behind the timing on dinner, but two, I'm just, okay, how long is that spacing between the afternoon snack and dinner? And is there enough time? So I'm looking at kind of 2 to 3 hours usually. But that being said, one thing I will do with dinner is I will have kind of, okay, they've had their snack time 2 to 3 hours before dinner, but before dinner, I like to have the kids, they're in the kitchen with me, they're helping to prepare, but this can also be hard because it's like they're hungry, they start getting whiny because they want to eat. So I like to have kind of this backup thing. Maybe it's what we had for the snack, but just have extras of it. But I like to have some backup veggies before dinner, even if it's 10 minutes before dinner. That way, if they're kind of melting and, oh, I'm hungry, set out a plate of carrots, celery, whatever it is, set out a plate of veggies and they can snack on those. If they're that hungry, they can have them. If they don't want it, they don't have to. They can wait for dinner. But that just kind of helps to ease that time period as well. But I would encourage you, if this isn't something you've really like intentionally stepped back and thought about, really pay attention over the next week of, their moods and what's happening and, what you're offering and how, because the snack time and the dinner thing, they play together a lot. And so it's good to be really aware of how that's working or maybe how it's not and tweak that to improve your dinner time. The third thing I want to point out, so afternoon snack time, like I said, we do veggie, fruit for our snacks. For the veggie snack, I like to do raw veggies for a few reasons. I have noticed, meals we usually do cooked, but sometimes for this same reason I'm going to talk about, I do like to throw in some raw vegetables for our meals and snacks. But the snack, I really want to be intentional about having that be a raw vegetable because they get what is called this deep jaw stimulation. Wasn't anything I even really, I don't know. I guess I didn't know much about this until I have one child who was constantly wanting to chew on things, like his shirt, his necklace, all these things. And my sister, who works in early childhood development, had mentioned, oh, he's just looking for that deep jaw stimulation. She's like, how many crunchy foods is he eating? Things like carrots and celery and almonds, all those nuts. A lot of times these are the foods, especially with babies and toddlers, that we're like, oh, maybe it's a choking hazard. So we try and actually shy away from. But I have learned to really go into those items. And the more I research it, it's not just, oh, this need to chew, but there's so many benefits to getting foods that really give you that nice, again, deep jaw stimulation. So there's dental benefits. It helps with mouth breathing. It helps with speech development. It can help with concentration. There's just so many benefits to getting this and not always having soft foods. So that's another thing that, again, just becoming more aware of that, thinking about it over the next week or looking back at the past week. Were all of your snacks soft, or do you have some crunchy foods in there? Some things that really can help with that. And for me, just knowing that the afternoon snack, it kind of checks off a few of the boxes, getting in a serving of veggies, getting in that deep jaw stimulation, getting in all those things. And then also, having something to tide them over before dinner time without really completely spoiling their appetite. So again, some other things that I'm keeping in mind. Then the fourth point is just some ideas. Like, this is the practical thing. This is probably what you thought you were getting into when you clicked play on this episode. But those first three things are all things that I'm aware of and thinking about when I'm, planning out meals and snacks and, thinking of timing. But the actual idea is some things that my kids really love, they love. And again, these are served raw for the snacks. At dinner time, a lot of times we'll do them cooked or raw, whatever is fitting them with the meal. But for snack, it's just kind of chopping them up raw. Oh, another bonus tip is a lot of times I'm having them do the prep for these, right? Like, they can chop these items. And again, they can choose them as well, right? Ellen Satter says that we decide the what, when, and where, but maybe you deciding the what is like these three options, but then they get a choice, but it's not this, choice of anything. So bell pepper, carrots, celery, broccoli. Now, if your kids are into dips, nut butter, there's a big variety of different nut and seed butters. A yogurt dip, so you can mix it with herbs. You can mix it with salsa. There's a lot of different options there. And then hummuses. Yes, you can do like a chickpea hummus standard, but you can do a black bean hummus. You can do all the different kinds of beans. So just within those three categories of dips, there are hundreds of different options and combinations that you can do if your kids are into dipping. And if they are needing a little more substantive, like if you're doing a 3-hour out snack time, then, definitely adding like a dip or some cheese or something with some protein on the side can help them make it through to dinner. I do an earlier dinner time. We do 5:00 on the dot. I have just found that the kids do a lot better with, with the way all of our timing of our meals pan out. It just works a lot better to have that dinner at 5:00. It just helps prevent meltdowns and everything runs a lot smoother. And I've just kind of adjusted my daily timeline for that. Another thought too is, if your kids are in sports or coming home like a lot hungry and just like, maybe some carrots and hummus is not quite going to cut it. A charcuterie board is a fun idea because again, they can kind of mix and match, maybe have some different meats. It doesn't necessarily even have to be a deli meat. It could be leftover, chicken from the night before, olives, nuts, my kids love that kind of snack board. Some popcorn, you can put different things on there, but that would be a fun thing to have for them too. If they're coming home and they've had a sports practice and it's still going to be an hour or two before dinner, then maybe something a little more substantial like that. So no hard and fast rules in here. I think the point of the episode today is really asking you to take a step back and look at what your schedule looks like for the upcoming fall, what the timing looks like, what the activities look like, knowing your kids, knowing their hunger levels, knowing all of these things, and then kind of figuring out, okay, what is going to work well for timing of snacks and dinner time and all the different things. And something as simple as afternoon snack can be so crucial to the way the rest of the evening goes. It really impacts mood. It really impacts whether or not they're going to eat dinner and what kind of this cycle and rhythm is for the upcoming weeks. So I would just encourage you to set aside some time today to think through, what does it currently look like? And are there some places where you can shift things to help everything run smoother? Make that, again, like if you have a kid that gets really moody when they're hungry, something as simple as addressing the snack time and figuring that out, figuring out the timing and the what and all of those things can just help the evenings go so much better. So hopefully you found something in here today that is helpful. Wishing you luck as you head into the upcoming fall and fine-tuning and finding that rhythm that works for you. That's all I have for today. I will be back again next Monday with another episode.